Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Priceless podcast news. Today we have Judit Gyarfas from Hungary, Budapest, and she is with me. Well, depending on what video you watch, the first time or the second time. So I have her for two parts. You can see also the interview with her personal story. And now we are talking about the situation in Hungary. And I wanted to hear, because there are some things happening, well, not just in Hungary, but we already heard the stories of Poland and what is happening there. But today I'm talking to Judit about Hungary and what news are there and how it is for LGBT people to live in that country. So, hello, Judit, and welcome to the Priceless podcast.
Hello.
Well, first, maybe we could start with a short introduction by you telling us how is it being LGBT in Hungary today, in the 21st century, 2020. It's the corona crisis all over the world. So maybe also if you see that something is affecting the LGBT population because of that, you can also mention that.
Yeah, so it's not easy. Yeah, in fact, it's very difficult. And it's also related to COVID in a way that now it's the second time for a state of emergency. And for the Hungarian government, if it's a state of emergency, they can make easily regulations and laws that make our lives, so the life of LGBTQ community, more difficult. So already in May, they banned the legal recognition of our transgender citizens by passing a bill that changes sex category in official documents like birth certificate to sex at birth, which can never be changed. So this was during the first lockdown and the first state of emergency. And then, of course, Pride, which is usually at the first weekend of July in Hungary, but this week, because of the virus, it was postponed to August, and there wasn't any march, but there was a week of events and discussions. And so that time is also when the climate is not the best, the emotional, or in general, the emotional climate is not so good for LGBTQ people. So that was true again this Pride year, and it was the second time when these discussions, which happened not online, but they could be held in real life. So it was the second time that Mosaic event got attacked by people, anti-LGBTQ people, and that was not a good experience for me. So that was also difficult. And now it's the second state of emergency, and again there are proposals for constitutional amendments, which also affects LGBTQ people. So in general, I would say it's not a good climate to exist in. But as you said, it's like a tendency. So I think what could really help is that if we find each other and if we become allies, because we're dealing with similar very difficult problems, like in the name of religion, in the name of Christianity, and protection, which is seemingly like protecting children from LGBTQ ideology or gender lobby, but in reality, it's making everyone feel unsafe, and it's not protecting everyone, just certain people. So it's not Christianity at all, but that's the disguise.
So what does this mean for the LGBT community? Like, can you lead us through the dangers and what is just happening around them and what is affecting? Of course, there are all these laws, but what is happening to the LGBT people? What is making them scared most?
Well, it's as a personal experience when I was there, like protecting the Mosaic Open event from these attackers, like standing there physically at the entrance of the event with other Mosaic members. It was like really like a stream of psychological terror or verbal abuse. So just standing there, and I mean, we knew the best thing was not to react to it, and we didn't react, but it was still terrible to hear these things, and they were really violent, and it was like really a program these people enjoyed doing instead of doing something else with their families. Like they really put energy into this, and for us at Mosaic, it was really bad because we knew probably this was going to happen because because we are Christian, it's a buzzword for them to attack and saying you cannot be Christian and LGBTQ at the same time. So it was like putting a lot of energy and very like draining us, I think, and especially one member whose role was at this event to decide who to let in and who not to let in. And for this, it's really difficult. Like, it's very difficult. Like, we are really open, and it's really difficult to say, okay, you cannot come in. And that's also what they told us, like, oh, you're open and you're not letting me in. And like this is very stressful for our member to have this role of deciding who can come in and who cannot. And these people who are attacking are really tricky. Like, for one of them was wearing like a rainbow mask, and we had no idea that after it turned out like he was one of the people who belong to this gang of attackers. So it's really draining our energy. Like, we have to put energy to protect ourselves. So I would say, yeah, it's not good listening to these kind of things, even if it happens online or not online. But yeah.
So how were things before the Corona crisis?
Things before, BC. I can't even remember.
BC, yeah, BCC.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, actually, they weren't good as well. I mean, for example, there was already this rule that you can, concerning the laws and regulations, you can only adopt as a single person. You cannot adopt children if you are in a registered partnership. So it was not a good climate back then as well, but I think these are these campaigns that the government builds up, and then it was the migrant campaign, and then they were called the enemy, and now it's the LGBTQ campaign.
So from what I hear, it has gotten worse since May.
Yes, it has. It has.
Is there anything that gives you hope that's happening and gives you hope within this
So
crisis.
we are not alone. We're not alone, and like it's a tendency in the world, these things that are happening, like in the name of religion, in the name of Christianity, in the name of protecting. This happens everywhere else, and also like there was this international documentary festival in Hungary, which was also online now, but I watched several documentaries there, and really they are very similar things happening. So in the Philippines, there was this documentary about the president now, and he's also very terrible, like in Hungary, Viktor Orban. So what gives me hope, or when I listen to or I watch the documentary about Nelson Mandela, is like, or this documentary about Maria Ressa in the Philippines, who was fighting for the press freedom. It really gives me hope that we shouldn't give up, and we should fight and continue fighting against all these things.
It gives you hope that the change is possible. Yes. Like changes happened in other countries.
Yes, or changes begin small by people speaking up, and maybe just two people having a dialogue. It can change our views, so we can change each other, and it's changes coming in very small steps. And even the awareness helps me that sometimes we're going backwards, and if I know that this will happen, that probably we achieve something, but then in another area we lose something, or we go 2 steps backward, this also helps me, like to be aware that change is not always happening.
So there are always people out there in other countries, especially those who are LGBT, and wondering, oh my, I see what's happening in Hungary, I see what's happening in Poland. Do you see anything what they can do? Because sometimes people look at these situations and they want to do something, but they don't really know what to do. Is there anything they can do? What would you tell them?
I would say that so now to go outside is very limited, or to meet with our friends, yes, it's limited, but still online, if you speak up and just start to comment some things that are happening, it helps a lot. I mean, what I also realized, that it's so easy to become insensitive or comfortably numb, as the song by Pink Floyd says, because so many things are happening, you just need to protect yourself, and after a while it's so easy to become insensitive. So to speak up just online as well, to have conversations about things, either with your family or anyone around you, it just helps.
Yeah, is there anything else you would like to add about talking about Hungary and LGBT people? Is there anything else you would like the people to know?
Well, that we are in this together. And we found each other, and just be open as much as you can in your situation, and it will be fine, or it will get better.
So thank you so much for this message. Thank you for sharing about what is going on in Hungary. I find it always more helpful to hear from someone who is local, who knows what's happening, and who is not just knowing, but also experiencing what's happening and how these changes are affecting the lives of LGBTIQ plus people. Thank you so much, Judit, to all you listeners and viewers. If you have friends in Hungary, reach out, just listen to them, give them a shoulder, and say that you're here for them if you're willing to do that. I think that most of the time that's the best thing we can do. And of course, if you're a person of faith, you can always say a prayer for your friends in those countries where LGBT is not so easy, to be LGBT. Thank you all for being with us. Thank you, Judit, once again for joining me for this conversation. We'll record something new soon. And until then, I'm telling you bye. Thank you for being here. Oh yeah, I almost forgot to tell you the links are below. Also, there is a possibility if you want to support this podcast that we could keep on going, please do so. And tell others about us. Subscribe, like, whatever you want to do. We're online and we'll be back soon. Until then, bye.